welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Thank you again for joining Don Gatling and my co-host for this week, not Gino Fronti. He's busy today, but we have Mr. Carlos V, we call him, but Carlos Villalobos with Carlos Villalobos Insurance. Been on our show 3 dozen times. He's our insurance guru. He helps us with all our insurance and our business insurance and our clients, and there's a reason for that. He is the best. 35 years experience, straightforward, honest, knowledgeable, multiple carriers. He is the guy, and that's why he comes on our show to share with you what you need to know about insurance. And we were just going through, you can go back to our previous segments because you might have missed it, and Carlos was going over, yes, there are rate increases coming aboard to almost all carriers, and some of them pretty substantial. So you need to know if those are your carriers and how much it's going up, and you can get the list from Carlos, as well as the top 18 things you can do to lower your rates to combat the raising of insurance rates. And you can get that by going to carlosvinsurance@gmail.com or call Carlos and Leslie and his team, I do all the time, at 255-8282. How about that?
I think that's great, and we don't bite, so we'll be happy to send you that list free of charge.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I love telling them, and that's what's cool. I say this too, is it's not always about the rate, because who do you call if you have a question or a concern or want to be educated or knowledgeable or help? And it's good to call a friend, somebody you can trust. And Carlos and Leslie and his team always answer the phone and always get back to me. And that is imperative, because when you need an answer, you need it now. And thank you for being such a great resource and a easy person to talk to, a good person. You make sure my coverage is correct, it's handled, I understand it, and you give me options. That usually doesn't happen. A lot of times, like I switched over to you because I got you started coming on our show, and I remember I had my insurance with the carrier for a long time, and then I got a new insurance policy, and it was up like $500-600. It was a substantial increase without a phone call to explain why.
Yeah,
it drove me nuts.
And sometimes the rate increase, there's nothing the agent can do. It's out of his hands. But if you as a consumer knows why, maybe it's a little better for you to swallow that.
And you do help. Yeah, and it may be, hey, just that, or hey, I'm looking at another carrier because that particular carrier just had, their fire insurance just went through the roof because they got hammered in Santa Rosa, and now we're going to switch to this other company that doesn't have a 24% increase. They only had a 7% increase. Who knows?
Yeah, we just had a call just this week of a insured that was upset because his auto premium went up $600 every 6 months. And when I took a look at it, I said, well, sir, you had 2 auto claims. The carrier paid out $80,000 total.
Oops.
I don't think the $600 is unreasonable.
Right.
He goes, oh, I didn't know they paid out that much. But that was the explanation why the rates went up. And you can't blame the carrier. That's what the insurance is there for, obviously. Right. But, they're going to try to get some money back. Now, the good thing is that it's only for 3 years that you're going to have that increase.
And it was whatever, $1,200 a year. You got $80,000 with the,
Imagine if you didn't have insurance, you would be paying that, or your wages might be garnished until you paid it back.
Okay, speaking of wages, so there's going to be there's some adjustment coming on to a lot of employers out there, and it's not, like I said, there's not a downturn, but at times, certain industries at times need to potentially, we'll go through a few different ones, but it could be having to lay off people, might be issues in the office and so forth. Bottom line is one of the scariest things that is coming to a lot of businesses. Gino and I run our own business here. We have 68 employees. We got to make sure are well taken care of, but we also have to do business, which could be laying off somebody due to a slowdown in the market per se.
Right.
So you might want to think about protecting yourself, because the employee that seems like they love you to death would never, ever come back to haunt you. Again, the Halloween reference, often does because they're hurt, they're upset, or they just lost their job, or something else that you have no control over because of that particular employee. So I'm going to let you take the floor from here.
All right.
Regarding employment practice liability insurance.
Perfect. A lot of consumers, when they have a business, they have a general liability policy, not realizing that the employment practice part of it is excluded unless they have a rider.
Did not know that.
So employment practice liability comes into play in case an employee sues you for a number of things. It could be for harassment. It could be for discrimination. It could
Unlawful termination, like I
be
said.
breach of contract, emotional distress. Maybe your business is not doing really well and you're stressed out and you're passing that stress out to your employees, and one of your employees sues you for that. So,
I mean, what's funny is that's important because that's what I was mentioning. At the time, they love you. They don't mind you being stressed out but if for some reason you had to lay them off or let them go or whatever, all of a sudden they remember that really well, don't they?
they do. And then let's talk about employment harassment. It doesn't mean that you yourself are harassing your employee. It could be employee to employee.
Right.
But you're still going to get sued. So I think employment and practice liability for any business is a huge thing to have to avoid the pitfalls.
Well, peace of mind alone for an employer.
Yeah, now that doesn't, employment practice will not cover everything. For example, if you have wages and hour violations, that is usually excluded unless you buy it back. So if you don't pay somebody overtime when they're entitled to overtime, the defense costs could be covered under your policy, but the settlement or the fine you're going to have to pay out of
And
pocket.
that could be substantial. I'll warn you, I know our industry was the epitome of it for a while. Not any longer, but the lending industry, when we were hot during 2000 and 2008, we were super busy because, you breathed, you got a loan. So we were in the heat of the market, and a lot of the lending industry put people on salaries, but made them work 14, 16-hour days without paying any overtime at all.
Not good.
And they got wise, and the employees sued them for basically, it's not fair practice.
It's not.
And they got sued for millions of dollars and back pay. And a lot of people got, one of my employees here said, he worked for a company, worked tons of hours. They never paid any overtime. They got hit, sued, and he didn't have a clue. He just got this huge, giant check in the mail. Usually
that's what happens. I mean, you may not hear about it, so they'll go talk to a friend, and the next thing you know, 10 of the employees are suing you. And, that's an issue nowadays. I think if you have employees, if you don't have employment and practice liability, if you have it, you should check to make sure you understand how it works. But that's something you should talk to your agent. The normal policy for most industries can start as less as $700 a year.
Oh, my gosh.
But based on the number of employees, based on the industry, that can change. But
even as
why
it
not
changes,
get a free quote? What's the big deal?
Plus, if it does go up, if it's not 700, it's 800, 2,000, because you have 80 employees, well, that's 80 people that's more liability for you, more reason to have insurance.
Right. And the average claim in employment practice liability, if I'm going to check my notes, I think is running like $125,000 nowadays.
Ouch.
Outside of court costs.
Yeah, that hurts the business.
Yeah, it'll put a business under, most likely, a small business owner.
Sure.
So I think you owe it to yourself to check with your broker or agent, or better, call me.
Yeah, how do they get a hold of you?
661-255-8282. Ask for a free employment practice liability quote.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. Love having you on your show. Glad we had the whole show. We always run out of time with you because you always bring such value and so much information. Again, Carlos Villalobos shows. You can always see our shows by going to donandgino.com, DONANDGINO.com. And all our shows are there. You can go back to the history. You can go to our YouTube channel, which has 2,500 probably videos now between this and the National Real Estate Cafe. But great information. And if you want that 18 ways to lower your insurance, or the list about what insurance carriers are raising their insurance rates, reach out to Carlos at 255-8282 or email him at carlosvinsurance@gmail.com. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you for having me.
You're a good friend. You're a great partner. And go Rams.
Go Rams is right.
All right, and go Dodgers.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend. And you have a great weekend at all. Thank you for tuning in to our show. We'll see you next week.